What's up, people? In this video, I'm going to tell you why, if you are a young Jewish person living living outside of Israel, why you should consider moving to Israel to join the army, right? Kind of a strange topic to do a video on, but I am a strange person and I happen to know a lot about this topic. And I'm going to give you, I don't know, 5 reasons why. I'm just ad-libbing here, really. I don't know how many reasons I'll come up with, but I'm going to tell you why right now. So a little bit of backstory. This is something that I actually ended up doing. I'm not just like giving you this advice out of nowhere. Without getting into the whole political Palestinian territories situation between Israel and like its Arab neighbors, to put all of that aside, yes, of course, there is a risk that, you know, you will go to war or you will be killed or disfigured, as there is a risk like that in any military or police force or whatever, right? You do run that risk. However, that said, you know, what are the odds it's going to happen to you specifically? Well, probably pretty low, but who knows, right? But again, you have to keep that in mind. However, that said, when I was 22, I moved to Israel, ended up joining the military, and stayed until about 25, so about 2-ish years I was in. And I, as a Western person without any real experience in Israel or the Middle East or abroad really at all, I found it to be immensely helpful for opening my eyes as to how big the world was and how people live in other countries. And that set me down a path of traveling the world and kind of developing a taste for living in, you know, other countries, working in other countries, enjoying meeting people from new places, and it really just kind of broadened my horizons in many ways. And I'll tell you why, if you are 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, and you're Jewish, why you should consider doing this as well. And you can say this for like the US military or whatever, but I'm going to make this video specifically about the IDF because that's what I did, so I can't tell you to do something that I didn't do. Okay, so my experience growing up, like typical American, like you go to high school, you apply for college, like, you know, you take your SATs, like I did all that too. I didn't know I was going to join the IDF until I was like, you know, I joined when I was 22, so like I was a couple years out of high school at that point. But never really appealed to me to go to college or university. I was going to get a degree, like spend all these years of my life to get a piece of paper for what? Like, how's it going to help me in the real world? Whereas I always viewed the military as a much more valuable in real life. Like, based on how I live now, is that really the case? Like, I'm not a millionaire by any stretch of the imagination, but I value the experiences that I had. Whereas if I had just stayed in college, like, I'm not sure if I would have valued my college experience as much. But anyway, we're talking about you. So reason number 1 why you should consider moving to Israel and joining the army is, let's see, what reason should we give? Because it's much more interesting than college. I'll put it to you like that, right? When you know, what is college really? Like, you go away, yeah, okay, maybe you party a lot, fine, that's gonna be fun. Maybe, like, it sounds bad now that I say it, maybe party a lot, maybe have a lot of like casual sex with girls, but who needs that? Just go serve in the military. That's how you should do college, right? In my opinion, right? As an old 35-year-old man now, if I could do it again, my college years, I would go back and just like join a frat and try and fuck as many girls as I could and pass all my classes, right? That's what I would do. But that said, you know, there's nothing that says that you can't like have casual sex with girls when you're in Israel, right? It's like, if anything, you know, life in Israel is harder, quote unquote, than life in the US. But as a guy, one thing that I think is easier is getting girls over there. I don't know why, I don't know what it is. It's like everybody's Jewish or Israeli girls just like American guys or what it is. But like I had very little trouble over there, you know, whatever, like getting with girls compared to the US, where like it just felt much more difficult. Was that the first reason? No, first reason was that it was more interesting. Although I guess that might be the second reason. We'll come back to that. But the first reason, it's more interesting. Like, most people don't do the military. And one thing that you'll realize if you actually do it, or if you have done it in the past, is that people that don't have any military experience, they're kind of powder puffs, like straight up, even the guys. Like, fine, I'm not saying it's the only way to build a strong personality, let's call it. Prison, of course, like especially after reviewing all these ex-con YouTubers, fine, that's also a period of your life of several years where you have lots of discipline and structure. But most people just live their normal life. They get a job, they go to school, and then they're just, they don't have any external discipline imposed on them for an extended period of time that they can't really get out of. So it's more, it'll build you as a person. I guess none of these have anything to do with actually being more interesting. It's just interesting. Just take my word for it. Anytime I start a story with, when I was in the army, people's ears perk up and I automatically have their attention, right? I've noticed this, people have told me this, and it's almost like God mode in a video game. It's like you don't really want to use it because you don't want the game to become less fun, but you know that if you do use it, you're guaranteed to get a certain reaction out of people, right? It's like, it's almost like saying you're vegan or you do CrossFit or something, except it has a much more powerful effect on people. Because people have a lot of respect for ex-military, despite the fact that maybe they don't know, like, military is really a lot of bullshit. Like 1% what you see in the movies, 99% bullshit, right? It's number one. Number two, if you're a guy, it will be easier for you to get laid in Israel, straight up, right? Like, let's call it what it is. Ladies out there, you have no problem getting laid. This does not really apply to you. And if you're a girl, you probably won't be in a combat unit. Not to discourage you from joining. I think there are other units that are worth going into, not necessarily combat, intelligence, for example, or really anything. But gentlemen, it will be much easier. Like, if you're having trouble getting laid in America, not that this is a reason to completely uproot your life and go move to Israel and join the army, although, you know, casual relations with the opposite sex definitely will make you increase your happiness index, let's call it. Again, I'm not sure really why, but if you move to Israel and join the army, you have what's called Chayal Boded status, lone soldier. Lone soldier status is, I don't want to say it's high status, but it's like special status, right? People hear you're a lone soldier, they're going to be nicer to you. And again, this has nothing to do with sleeping with girls, but it's just respected as a whole, I guess. So we'll come back to the lone soldier thing in a second. But you're going to be, if you do it properly, if you join the IDF properly, you're going to do it through Garin Sabar. Get into that later. This is a program that fast tracks immigrants from Western countries into the military who make Aliyah, who move to Israel. So it's about half guys, half girls. So you're going to have a completely new peer group of guys and girls, and there are generally between 4 to 5 Garinim around Israel at any given time. I kind of wish I could like turn back the clock and go back to those days, even though, like, realistically, I know it was shit most of the time, but it was still fun. I have a lot of good memories. Anyway, easier to get laid. Let's talk about Chayal Boded status, right? As a Chayal Boded, as a lone soldier, basically you are in the military in Israel without any immediate family. That's what that means. As a result, you are given additional income by the government, by certain organizations. When I was in the military, the total take home was around 2,500 shekels a month, which is about $600 a month. So it's not a lot of money, okay? Really, it's not like, you're not doing this for the money. However, when you spend 2 to 3 weeks per month on base, and there's really nothing to spend your money on except, like, you know, a bottle of Sprite and like some Cheetos, you're going to be able to save money if you want and spend that money freely on the weekends when you go out. That's one benefit of being a Chayal Boded. Another benefit is that you get some perks in terms of, let's call them like going to special events, right? Like, let's say you're, there's some holiday, right? Some Jewish holiday, and you don't have any family in Israel. Most Israelis would be with their families during that holiday, but you don't have any family. Like, you can't go to anybody's house during Passover. Like, what are you going to do? So they will have special events for Chayalim Bodedim, for lone soldiers, that you can go to, and they like honor you during this event. It's very nice, actually. The dinners are very fancy. You meet a lot of people there. You get to like network with other Chayalim Bodedim. You meet leaders of these like, let's call them like charity organizations, and it's very pleasant overall. That's a big example, but you have smaller examples as well. Another good thing about it is that like there are organizations, one of them that's actually headed by a friend of mine, the Lone Soldier Center for Michael Levine. And this is an organization that specifically helps lone soldiers with whatever they need, really. Like, you have a problem, you go to them, they help you. You need a washing machine for your apartment, they go and they like figure out a way to get you a washing machine. You need like, if you're in infantry or a similar unit to an infantry unit, Generally, you'll get a lot of use out of a Leatherman or a multi-tool, right? It's got like pliers, a knife, a saw, screwdriver, all that stuff. These tools can get very expensive, and not all lone soldiers have enough money to buy them, despite what I said about the salary. Like, some people have to send money back to their home country, like some people are just bad with money. So like you can get one of these for free, generally, at this like lone soldier center. They would give us, this was before iPhones, right? They would give us digital cameras, like crazy stuff, right? And again, I'm not saying do this, like the free stuff that you get is not going to make it, it's not gonna like balance out like the 2 years or 3 years of your life that you spend like bored out of your mind, questioning your life choices, like hating your life, right? But these are nice perks to have when you are there alone and do not have any family who could normally buy you these types of things. Because keep in mind, Israelis join from 18 to 21, or 18 to 20 as girls. Reason number 4 why you should consider joining or moving to Israel and joining the army is that if you're an American, this is for really Americans, but it could be applied to other countries as well. If you are a Jew in another country, chances are you're probably not that cool, right? And again, like I'm generalizing, stereotyping, but like Jewish people generally are not, unless you have like Israeli heritage, right? Jewish people kind of nerdy, kind of a little bit on the like smarter side, not so much on the party side. Again, of course, there's exceptions, blah, 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 but like you don't have that like cool factor, right? And again, like I said, differs from country to country. But one thing that I really enjoyed about my time in Israel is not only was I able to learn Hebrew, which we'll get to next, I speak Hebrew fluently now, but when you learn to speak another language, you are able to kind of enter into the mindset of the culture more than if you were just observing that culture from afar. And Israeli culture is very cool, right? Israelis, like, regardless of what you think, like, they have a certain style, they have a certain swagger, specifically like the Sfaradim, the Sephardic ones. And as a completely like fresh person to Israel with no experience with, let's call it Arab mentality or Middle Eastern mentality, as I was learning the language and as I was like a blank slate for experiencing anything to do with Israeli culture, I was able to, I think, assimilate a lot of that coolness into my own personality. You wouldn't know it maybe from my YouTube videos, but this definitely came in handy later in life, especially when you compare it to like the straight edge, comparatively like nerdy American that I was before I ended up joining. So I guess the point is that you're able to adopt more Israeli traits than if you were to just stay in your own home country. Okay, reason number 5 or 4 or whatever we're up to now is that you learn Hebrew. Okay, learning another language is always cool. It's always good to learn another language, right? I technically, like, currently only speak English and Hebrew fluently. My Spanish is conversational. I can have a basic conversation if they don't speak too quickly and they're not from Argentina. Like, no offense, Argentinian people can't understand a fucking word you guys are saying. But when you learn to speak Hebrew, there's a lot of benefits to that. Number 1, if you ever leave Israel and you're with an Israeli friend or somebody who speaks Hebrew, you're pretty much guaranteed to be able to speak around other people without them having any idea what you're saying. So it's almost like a secret code that you can speak, right? It's like only, like, who's gonna learn Hebrew? Only people who live in Israel, really. Maybe you have some like Arabs who like learn Hebrew, but like really only other Israelis and like random Jews who like studied Hebrew, in Hebrew school or like are religious or something, and you can generally spot those people a mile away. So that's number 1. That's very cool. Number 2, like I said, like you can, it helps you identify with the culture more. But it's just cool to like learn another language. I don't know. There's something very gratifying about not only learning Hebrew but speaking Hebrew. It's a more satisfying language to communicate in. It's very verb heavy, whereas English is more, I don't know, this might not make a lot of sense to people. English is more superfluous, right? It's more, you can do a lot more with English. Whereas with Hebrew, it's more, like for example, in English, let's say I want somebody to pass me something. I would say, excuse me, could you please pass me this thing? And then they pass me and say, thank you. In Hebrew, you would just say, tavili et ze, you just say, give me that, right? And that's not considered rude, right? You wouldn't say like, slicha efshar lavili li ta davar haze, baksha, toda. You could say it like that, but like, it's like, and I guess if you want to be polite in certain situations, maybe you would say it like that. But generally, it's acceptable to just say, give me that, right? You can use the command form of the verb. Weird, I guess, if you don't speak the language to say it like that. Also, I hear that my American accent is disgusting. I hate the American accent when speaking Hebrew. Anyway, reason number 6, let's say, that you should move to Israel and join the army, is that you get dual citizenship, which is cool. It makes it, you get dual citizenship, and it makes it easier to stay in Israel and live there afterwards, okay? If you actually, because you have a lot of people who later in life, in their, let's say, mid to late 20s, early 30s, sometimes even late 30s, early 40s, who will make the decision all of a sudden one day they're going to drop everything and they're going to move to Israel and they're going to make Aliyah, and that's it. They're just going to do it. Now, the problem with this is that they're too old to do the army, right? Really, if you move to Israel and you're older than like 22, 23, really, if you're a guy, you have a little bit of leeway because you can infantry and like they might let you join at like 25 or something, right? But rare. But anyway, these people who are older and they move to Israel, like, you know, the reason I identify so strongly as an Israeli, even though I feel American more because the percentage of my life that I spent in America and the time that I spent interacting as an American, I also do feel Israeli. A major part of that is because of the contribution that I made to the country as a result of my military service, right? Not only to Israel, but to really just like the Jewish people as a whole, right? Like I paid my dues, you know, I stood many hours guarding some retarded checkpoint and like, let's call it what it is, like harassing like, you know, Palestinians, like, sorry, like Palestinians out there who like, maybe I was a little bit rude to back in the day. You know, I paid my dues, right? I deserve that country, right? And again, like regardless what you think of like territorial disputes and politics and all that, I don't want to get into that right now. But I paid my dues as an Israeli citizen. I deserve what that country has to offer, okay? Whether that's going to Tel Aviv and enjoying what Tel Aviv has to offer, beautiful beaches, beautiful people, just fun, easygoing lifestyle, or the food, or maybe some bureaucratic benefits, or maybe like a little bit of like a stipend when it comes to like property taxes or like whatever it is, right? I deserve those things. Whereas if you take somebody who, let's say, makes Aliyah when they're older, 30 years old, let's say, they go there, they have virtually no Hebrew. They're going to move to Israel. It's going to be much harder for them to learn Hebrew because all of their friends are going to be American. It's going to be hard for them to get a job because they don't speak Hebrew. They're going to go work in some American company or foreign company where they speak English. They're not going to have the opportunity to learn Hebrew and get assimilated into the culture. Whereas when I did it, I went in, I started learning Hebrew right away. I knew I was going into the military, and when I was in the military, I had 2 years basically to practice my Hebrew. I turned my head to the right, practice Hebrew, turned my head to the left, practice Hebrew. I was fortunate enough to be in a unit, or you know, my unit's changed, but I was always in a unit with somebody, with an American who had better Hebrew than I had, and very good English. So I could turn to this person and I could say, hey man, how do I say blah, develop or something, whatever. And he would say, oh, this is how you say it. Boom, like that, instantly, right? I want to say this is before, I don't know if this is before Google, but like this is before everybody had a smartphone. We could just look that shit up on Google. Extremely useful to have that. Reason number 8, I guess, is that you make friends for life, okay? So like, I probably should have got to this reason sooner, but the reason I didn't is because, you know, I'm kind of an exception. I don't really keep in touch with people who I was in the military with, because afterwards everybody kind of goes their separate ways, everybody spreads out, everyone has to deal with being released differently. Because it's, you know, the time that you're in is stressful and it's hard, and when you get out, all of a sudden you're given complete freedom to live how you want, and everybody just kind of runs with it in a different way. So, you know, I ran with it my way. Some people stayed in Israel, some people went back to their home country, some people went to another country, some people doing security work, some people stayed in the army, some people like, you know, everybody's doing something different. Some people are doing better, people are running companies, some people are, you know, getting money from the government because they're disabled, right? It runs the gambit. However, if I were to run into one of these people, we would be friendly, and there's nothing that says that you can't do that either. It just so happens that in my case, we didn't really stay in touch so much, right? Unfortunate, because occasionally I'll think of these people fondly, and I kind of miss them, right? I miss those days of like, you don't really have any worries other than, you know, showing up on time to like the next field trip you have to do. Like, oh no, we have to like, they're taking us to Jerusalem today. Oh, so annoying. Like, I just want to lie in bed and do nothing. Like, oh, you're giving me a free trip to Jerusalem. Like, I don't want to do that. Anyway, I think that's enough reasons, right? I don't know. I can honestly go on for like hours about this topic. But yeah, if you are a young Jew, and I would say as a young Jew, let's say 15 to 20 years old, right, and you are interested in joining the IDF, moving to Israel, making Aliyah, and you don't have Israeli citizenship, I would encourage you to explore that option more. Do it through Garin Sabar, right, which is, as I mentioned earlier, an organization that fast tracks immigrants into the military. You live on a kibbutz with these people, they send you to an ulpan together if you don't speak Hebrew. They just make it much easier to navigate the bureaucracy of the Israeli military, which is pretty awful. Okay, they help you get into whatever units you want to get into. It's very good. Okay, so if you guys have, like, what did you think of that video? Was it interesting for you? It was interesting for me because I enjoyed talking about this topic. If you want to see more videos about this topic or the IDF or anything that doesn't have to do with like what some like anorexic girl eats in a day, anything, please let me know. Leave me a comment. Peace.